Hello, everyone. Kevin Carpenter here, your master of ceremonies for Rolling in the Mist. I just want to thank everyone for following us to this point, to the end of our first story arc of Skid Row. We're so excited to be making this podcast, and it's honestly as much an adventure for us as it is for the characters we play. It's exciting, it's scary, and it's just a lot of fun to be doing this. We really hope you're enjoying this, and as you keep following us, we'll be releasing more and more content. We really love hearing from you guys as you listen to our show, so feel free to give us any comments, critiques, things you would want Arthur Strange and Leo Castello to do. It's just great to hear from you guys. So stay tuned for more Rolling in the Mist.
Rolling in the Mist is a series with fantasy violence, mentions of gore, and worst of all, cussing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Rolling in the Mist. I am your master of ceremonies, Kevin Carpenter, and joining me today are...
Ryan Bravo as Leo Castello.
And...
Jason Peguero as Arthur Strange.
Now, this is a very exciting episode because this is the last episode of our first arc, Skid Row.
Yeah.
Where we'll be, and after this, we'll be moving on to our next arc, which the title will be revealed when we get to that. But... for now, the recap. So, Leo and Arthur, you two have joined forces together as guardians of life and of death, trying not to kill each other as you go after a punk teenager named Skid who had found a mysterious book that allowed him to raise the dead. After doing some investigating and hobo fights in a hospital, you eventually found Skid in a graveyard where he summoned an army of zombies. Well, more like a gang of zombies. Something like that.
Quite a bit of them.
Yeah, just a few.
Oh, I would know.
Are you giving me that look?
Yeah.
As you guys had a rumble in the graveyard, Arthur Strange was able to wrestle the book from Skid before shooting him. And Leo, meanwhile, was trying to use his powers to support his friend and kept getting mauled by zombies in true Dawn of the Dead fashion.
Yep.
Just as all hope seemed lost, Arthur Strange let loose the limiters of his power that he reluctantly carries and peered inside the book, not only gaining control of the zombies, but also seeing reality in a new way. Heaven, hell, purgatory, and perhaps something more. While Arthur was having his own freak out, Leo managed to drag himself out of his bloodied stupor and managed to gain enough strength to reluctantly save Skid after being shot. It seemed like our heroes would finally got the happy ending they earned. Until a mysterious figure wearing a red motorcycle suit, riding a red motorcycle, ramped a gravestone like a boss and snatched the book out of Arthur Strange's hand before driving off into the night.
Yada yada.
So now, we join our heroes, or rather, hero, Leo. You stand on a cliff. Below you is a vast nothing of mist. Behind you, a stretch of rock leading nowhere. But you're not focused on what's below or behind you, for ahead of you, above you, floats a massive, rolling storm. The clouds are a sinister shade of blue, so dark they could almost be black. The thunder pounds once, twice, like an oncoming war drum. And as each arc of lightning lights up the world, you begin to see something in the clouds. Leo, you feel your mythos pulling into you. Do you look into the mist?
I do.
Roll plus your mythos, my friend. So this is similar to Stop Holding Back, except instead of rolling the number of logos themes you have, you're rolling the number of mythos themes you have. This is a special move in the back of the book where you can look into your mythology.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So I roll both dice?
Yes.
Okay. Don't screw me now.
Same thing still applies, right? One and then the...
So that's a 5 plus 3, since I have 3 mythos?
You have 3 mythos?
Yeah.
I thought you had... No, I thought you had 2 mythos
Sorry,
and 2 logos.
Right. Two logos.
Okay.
So that is 7.
Okay. So, I'm going to this is treated as sort of like an investigate. So, since you have 2 mythos, that means you have 2 clues.
Oh, okay.
So that means you can ask this storm, this myth of yours, 2 questions. What do you want to know?
About anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember, you're just standing on this cliff looking at this storm, and there is something in that storm that you feel.
I want to ask this entity. Do you trust me to hold your power? Now, this is under the pretext that this is my actual thing that's in me, right?
It's kind of weird from your perspective.
Okay.
Like, game perspective, yes. But from your perspective, this is just something that you feel on an innate level.
Got it.
Yeah.
So let me take that back.
Well, no, that's a good question if you want me to.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Screw it.
You rolled a 7, though, so
Yes.
I get to mess with the question a little
Of course
bit.
you do.
As you ask this storm whether it trusts you to hold its power, you're greeted by a thunderous, and you can feel this anger in your chest. This thunder pushes back against you, and you almost take a step back. And as you look into the clouds, you see with each bolt of lightning a shape in the clouds, this long, winged figure. You can barely see it through the storm clouds, but it coils and writhes through the clouds, and it seems like the clouds move around it as well. And as the thunder grows more intense, you can feel this being in the storm. It's mad. You have another question?
Oh shit. So I can feel that it's mad. I want to ask it, is there something I can do to help relieve your pain?
You stand on this cliff and you feel wind tugging at your back. Not tugging, pushing at your back. And it's pushing you closer and closer to the cliff edge. And you struggle against this wind as it pounds against you, but your feet scrape against the dirt that's under you, and soon enough you are at the cliff's edge looking down at this vast abyss. And you look up and you see that the storm that was once in front of you is now directly above you, and this winged, long, serpentine figure is now directly above you, and you realize just how large this thing is.
Oh my god.
And as it coils above you, you see its head look down at you with piercing red eyes, like it's waiting.
I take a deep breath. And I just stare it. Not stare it deep into its eyes with no emotion, no anger, no just, I guess, trying to connect with it.
You stare into its eyes, and you try to keep your stance on the edge of this cliff, but the wind only grows stronger and stronger, and the more you fight against it, the more it pushes, and your feet are now half off this cliff. You're only being held on by your heels, which are now digging into the dirt, and this creature in the storm just watches, and another boom of thunder hits, and you feel that same anger, but there is also anticipation, like it's waiting to see what you'll do.
And so, wow. Wow. I look down at the abyss. I look back up very quickly, and I just kind of shine it a smile. And I just tip over, letting the wind, I guess, push me down.
What is the feeling in you when you jump off the cliff? Is it resignation, or is it something else?
It's kind of like a dare. Kind of like, I'm like, okay, let's find out.
As you let the wind push you off the cliff, staring this massive creature in its piercing red eyes, it narrows its gaze as you fall further into the abyss. And the strange thing is, as you fall, you feel the wind follow you. And then you wake up in your bed. And you hurt like hell. Dr. Leo Castello, you have been in your bed for the past few days. It's hard to keep track. And you have just kind of been periodically healing yourself with your power to the point of exhaustion and then passing out. And then you'll wake up again and take care of things and then get back to your bed and try to keep healing yourself and then pass out again. Because you were kind of really, really badly mangled by these zombies.
I got wrecked.
Yes. And so, this is kind of just how you've been spending your time.
Yeah.
And as you kind of curse and, it's just like another fucking thing of this, you lay back down your bed and begin healing yourself. And your skin has healed up all these wounds, but it's now sort of craggly. It's got kind of a sheen to it now, in parts. And as you begin to heal yourself once again, you think back to the night when this happened. So what I love about City of Mist is that having flashbacks is an actual game mechanic. You guys can use this in the future to set things up preemptively or just, flesh out your backstory or whatever. We kind of did that with Strange and the funeral scene. It didn't really set up anything. I didn't have you make a roll, but it's just that flashback is a game mechanic in the game, which I love. So, Leo, we flash back to right after the end of last episode. You're in the graveyard. You're beat to hell, bleeding all over the ground. Skid has just been stabilized, and this person on a motorcycle has just snatched the book from Strange's hand and is about to ride off. What do you do?
I kind of look at completely shocked, like, Arthur, you had one job. And I guess in my really messed up state, I tried to at least shoot a fireball or shoot a fireball at the hind wheel of the motorcycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess I just not even try to I just chuck it. Because knowing God knows I'm gonna fall right over.
Okay. Roll hit with all you've got with a minus
Jesus.
with a -4 because this is still when you're messed up.
Wow.
So what tags are you using?
I'm gonna use Cruel Sun and Gale Force.
Okay.
Jesus, so that's gonna be a +2. Oh Jesus.
Actually, it's a -2 since you had the -4.
Oh fuck. So that's
that's
4. Oh damn. No.
Yeah, you form the fireball in your hand and you just you don't even shoot it like you normally do. You just kind of chuck it. And as the fireball goes toward the figure actually sees it coming and then drives up to another ramped gravestone and just rides off of it over the fireball. And you just made this really cool trick for this rider. As it flies
exit strategy.
Yeah. As it flies off and as your fireball explodes and brings up the dirt into the air, there's a bit of smoke. And then as the smoke fades, the rider is gone.
God. And I look at Arthur a little help there.
And then you pass out. And we come back to the present day where you're just in your bed healing yourself.
And I have a quick flash of, I could have used some help there, Arthur.
Speaking of
you
Arthur.
drunk bastard.
So this session, we're also going to be doing a lot of the background moves, the special moves, flashback, looking into the mist, and also a move that's very near and dear to my heart, the montage move, or downtime. It's basically in the space between your cases or when you guys just have some spare moments, you guys can use this time to bring attention to one of your themes, take fade away from one of your themes, build it back up, build up, investigate a case so you can build up clues or look into your abilities to build up juice. And also you can heal your statuses. So that's kind of what we did with Leo here because
I didn't have much of a choice.
Yeah, I kind of knew that you would be healing yourself. So, Arthur, I imagine you're going to be doing the same with your psychological tier 4 status.
Most definitely.
Yeah, the Abyss stared back. So, how does Arthur Strange heal psychological damage?
Well, are you asking me in terms of like the role play right now, or sorry? Just,
Yeah.
Okay.
Just,
So Arthur, what he does is after Leo gets taken to some kind of medical facility, and Sid is under, I guess, was it house arrest or something, or like where they like the cops are at the hospital, kind of like watching over him.
yeah, that's probably what happened. Like you brought him in, and then like
Yeah.
the cops were watching over him. Which, by the way, do you go to the hospital, Leo, or are you just like, I'm gonna take care of this myself?
Well, he passed out, right?
Oh yeah.
So I took him.
Oh okay. Okay.
He doesn't have really.
That's
what
fair.
I would do is I'd call the cops or call backup, have Sid get taken to the nearest hospital, have you get taken to the nearest hospital, and I'm gonna go home and avoid phone calls for a couple of days because what I just experienced is without a doubt one of the horrific things I could ever imagine.
That's fair.
And I've experienced a lot of horrific things as a detective.
So you just kind of take like a couple of days to just like hold up in your apartment.
Kind of almost like what a junkie would do if they would try to go cold turkey.
Oh wow. So you don't drink either? Just
No, like I'm drinking as my only coping mechanism.
Oh, okay.
I'm kind of like, what's the word I'm trying to go for?
Rehabilitating?
Not so much rehabilitating, but like kind of isolating myself from
Yeah.
the outside world and
Yeah.
just no sun, no nothing, just
Really?
in a room, just kind of really processing like, what am I seeing? What's going on?
so Detective Strange, you're holed up in your apartment for like days. What is your apartment like?
Well, given my personality and my habits, you would think I live in a really bad apartment. Honestly, it's a very minimalist apartment. A bed, a little coffee table with a couch, a fridge. I really don't have a lot of, what would you call it, dining ware, stuff like that. If I do, it's probably just for me, like maybe like 4 plates at best. I don't really eat as much, and if I do, it's always on the go. And on my coffee table is more of files. That's where I work. My bed is pretty neat in the sense of there's no wrinkles or anything, which means I don't sleep in it. I sleep mainly on the couch because I'm always working. I hardly sleep in that matter. I get like whatever sleep I could get, and it's from passing out from drinking and working. And I don't even have a blanket because I'm so used to being cold from the dead constantly being around me.
I gotta ask, is like the twist of your character arc that Strange has been like dead all along? Because how the fuck are you still alive?
Your diet consists of booze and... Do you smoke? I don't remember. Do you smoke?
No,
It consists of
Oh, yeah,
booze.
smoking's bad for you.
Oh,
yeah.
that's right.
In fact, I believe one time an officer offered me a cigarette. I go, no, man, that'll kill you. As I took a swig of my fucking liquor.
Yeah, that sounds like some Detective Strange would do.
No, but in
Get your
terms
daily
of
vitamins and minerals from just
in
pure-
terms of food, I would say probably like hard-boiled eggs, some toast and
Because you're
butter.
hard boiled, dude.
I was about to say
Yeah,
that.
no. Some toast with butter on it. An apple I'll take on the road just to grab whatever, like very just kind of doesn't really require a lot of cooking, kind of come and go sort of food. It's, again, I'm always on the clock, and I'm always if I'm not at the office working, I'm at the house looking over cases.
Ooh.
Okay.
But while obviously when you took me to the hospital, the nurses were taking care of me, and after that little fight we had, I'm like, yeah, these girls are gonna fuck me over. So I find some way to kind of sneak away because I know that I could do a better job.
You're awake at this time?
Well, the time that I was at the hospital, they were taking care
Yeah,
of
we're
me.
just
I
kind
was-
of doing like a rolling montage.
Yeah. I was just like, I could do a better job, but I can't really show my powers here,
Mhm.
given that I'm afraid. So does Uber exist in this world?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's sometimes you get like a Nissan Sentra, and sometimes you get a horse-drawn carriage.
So I'll get the City of Mist version, the Movers.
Oh yeah, movers.
Movers, because they moved me back to my apartment. And so yeah, I took a mover down there, and I'm still messed up trying to get my hands in the door. I bust my way in and kind of drag myself to my bed. Before there, I tried to activate my what is it, Serpent's Gift,
Mhm.
and I heal a little bit, but that's when I'm just
Yeah.
Just pass out.
Okay, so that was downtime just to heal your statuses. Because that's kind of cheap, because you guys kind of had to heal your statuses after that. What's the next thing your characters do after they, recover for a few days from their escapade?
For Arthur, I would go visit Leo at his pad.
Okay.
So I go to Leo Castello's pad and I knock on the door. So, knock. And I wait for I hear moaning, I guess. Leo, is your door unlocked by any chance, or do I have to do like a break in and entry?
I hear some muffled drunken voice.
Leo.
And I'm like, I kind of slightly rouse myself awake.
Leo.
Arthur, is that you?
Open the door. It's me.
And so I kind of roll over to my side, just like almost comically, like a good old Jim Carrey, like. And I get to my feet. I kind of take a moment, just like. At the same time, I applied these bandages to myself throughout the moments where I was awake after like healing myself and knocking out. I walk over, and sure enough, there's a bat by my door. And I just want to make sure. So I grab it just like at the ready, and I look through the peephole. Is that you, Arthur?
It's me. Open the goddamn door.
And I look away from the peephole, and I kind of take a moment. Should I? He kind of stabbed me. And I was like, all right, fine. And so I put the bat down right by the side of the door again, and I unlock the locks, and I open them in.
And there I am, standing with little tray of 2 coffees. I look at Leo and go, morning. And I just walk right in.
So wait, is this like a tray of like McDonald's coffees, or is it like in actual coffee cups? And if so, how did you drive with that?
We don't ask how Arthur does things. He just appears with coffee. Look, knowing my salary, I came with like Circle K coffee.
That's entirely fair.
We'll call it Square L coffee. I don't know.
Square L. There
Square
we go.
L. Okay. I just look at Leo and go, Jesus, you look all fucked up. And just walk
and
right
I
in.
kind of give him a look like, gee, come on in, detective.
Thank you.
I kind of take a quick look at the bat, and it just kind of goes through my head like, I could bash this motherfucker's head in right now for stabbing me and doing all this shit. But I'm like, no, keep it cool, Leo. I said, Arthur, yeah, I'm doing fine. The knife wound from the last encounter, could have done a lot better without it. But you smell like booze.
I look at Leo and go, regular or decaf?
Okay. I go over. I'm like, I'll take the decaf.
He takes the decaf. I open up my regular and I give it the hair of the dog. For those who don't know what that is, pour a little bit of whiskey in there.
Oh. And I look I just give him this deadpan stare. I'm like, really?
It's never too early.
I take a sip. I could use a little bit more cream, and I go over to my fridge. It's not the nicest of fridges. It's got some rust.
Yeah. By the way, so what's your space of residence, Leo?
So, oddly enough, I don't really live. Given that I'm still a surgeon, I don't really like to live a very lavished life. I keep things very simple. It's almost not as what I'm thinking as bad as Arthur's apartment, but it's like just like a single bedroom studio. I kind of keep to myself. It's like just a big open space. My bed in the corner. There is like I would say like a 44-inch TV just on a stand, on a stand that actually serves as also my drawers. There is just a photo of an old doctor friend of mine, just right there singly, just against the wall, nothing else around it.
Like a mentor almost?
Yes. And my kitchen is right next to it, just accessible by a single archway. And right as you come in, there's that fridge of mine that, again, I could afford a better fridge, but it's just a rusty old fridge has been there for me for the longest, and I just don't want to replace it. And the kitchen's clean. Like, everything's really clean. Everything's just very simple.
So, you pour some cream in your coffee, and then both of you, like, sit down, and I feel like there's, like, a little bit of an awkward silence. Who's the first one to break it?
Well,
Arthur, you had one job? What happened?
Well, before I answer that question, I got a question for you. And I pull up the folders of the cases that you took from my office, and I just give you a look, and I go, these are confidential, right?
And I kind of give him that look like a golden retriever gives his master when he knows he fucked up. Not wanting to look, and just kind of staring down at my coffee. I'm like, oh, you found those.
Luckily for you, the captain hates me, and I'd get shit canned if he found out that I let you take these files. So we're going to keep this on the hush-hush.
And I take another sip of the coffee. I put it down on the drawer. And I said, look, Arthur, I get it. It's your life. It's your police work. It's not my place to be nosing around, but I do have a knack for being nosy. But as I was reading it on the ride back to the cemetery, the Red Rider case that you got seems very similar to, the thing that straight out took the book from you. Isn't that something we really should be investigating, or if not you?
Well, I wasn't interested until that supposed Red Rider fucker came and stole the book from me. Now I'm goddamn interested in it.
So is that how you do police work, Arthur? You wait for it to bite you in the ass?
Hey, who's the one who left the hospital when they weren't fully healed?
Well, look, let's be honest. I've worked at that hospital, and those nurses, after my little tussle with them, they really weren't going to do that good of a job. And look at me now. I am, and as I like try to sit down, like,
yeah,
okay.
You like go, look at me now, and there's still parts of your skin that are like shiny.
It's like, look at me. I'm good. But I still try to sit down like an old man, even though I'm younger than you. I'm like, clean as a whistle.
Well, point is, don't tell me how to do my job. I won't tell you how to do yours then.
Yeah, that's fair. And I grab the coffee again from the stand.
Now, onto this Red Rider. Good job you took it, because I probably would never have looked at it. I'm just going to be pretty honest with you, but it's kind of interesting. And I open the book, and I start reading the Red Rider case.
And I think as you like pull open the file and start reading it, the same stuff that Leo read earlier, both of you look at each other with this renewed look of determination. Like, you both have your differences, but both of you also instinctively know that there's a job to be done. And the camera pulls back outside the window of Leo's apartment. And as it pulls back even further, it pulls to a nearby rooftop with view of Leo's window. And there's a figure standing there, their coat billowing in the wind. You can't see their face, and it's hard to tell anything about them, but they just watch and then turn and walk away. And we fade to another scene, a hospital bed, where Skid is currently alive. Definitely worse for wear, but thanks to the actions of a doctor, is still alive. He's sleeping in the bed and covered in bandages, and there's actually a figure sitting next to them, a girl wearing bright clothing and pigtails, but her face is serious. It's angry, confused. She just looks at Skid, and Dora looks at her own lap and goes, "He promised you wouldn't get hurt." And then the camera fades from Dora and onto a battered wooden countertop, and the camera pans until you see the book on its surface, wrapped in ancient leather, stitched together almost. And as a gust of wind opens the book, you hear and we fade to black. So, I think that's a pretty good epilogue to the first arc of Rolling in the Mist, titled Skid Row. So before we end the session here, I think we need to get a something mechanical through. Mainly, you guys gain 3 attention on one of your themes, both of you. Yeah. So that means that theme levels up. Okay. So leveling up in this game is different than most RPGs. It's not you gain like bonuses to your stats or something like that. Instead, with your specific theme that you've given the most attention to, you know, the stuff that you've developed the most through the story, you can either pick another power tag that will help you with further rolls, and that's just further enhancing your abilities, or you can choose advanced improvements that are at the end of that theme book. So for divination, for example, you can one of the advanced improvements is that when you investigate something, it's even more powerful when you roll 12 or higher. So I asked you guys to kind of like look over the level ups and figure out like what option you want to take. Arthur, what is the level up you took?
So for me, I went with the ability called Prophetic, which basically states, when investigate, get a straightforward answer when I'm asked the question, what's going to happen next?
You mean when you ask the question, what's going to happen next?
Yes, to the MC.
Okay.
And if I use what the MC tells me, to my advantage, I gain a +1 on my roll.
Dang. So you basically get like, you can choose to have a vision of the future when you go into a scene.
Pretty much. Basically, no more. I'm guessing I really don't have to rely on 10 or higher then at that point, right?
It's really just for that like one question.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a boost to investigate.
So how would I use it in terms of like, is it like I can use it just once a day, or is it something like that? Or
no, it's just every time you use the investigate move when you're like in a new scene.
Got it.
So are you saying that like the book itself, when you like peered into it, it kind of like opened your mind like a little bit, like so you're able to like see visions of the future now?
Yeah, I would say so. Or I would, for me, probably it would be more like the spirits are kind of no longer being translucent. They're being more solid for me. And they're helping me see things that I shouldn't be seeing, but I'm seeing anyways.
Interesting. Okay, I like that. So the more attention you give to your reluctant power to speak to the dead, the more it, you know,
showing me,
the more it annoys you.
Yeah.
What about you, Dr. Castello?
Well, given my recent history with my powers in our last adventure, I think I took the correct path in empowering my adaptation in Nature's Wrath by answering another question and getting another power tag, to which I decided to go with Fireproof, because God knows that fireball, if not everything else I've used, has blown up in my face. This might this might come in handy when I'm like, I kind of want to go all out, but I don't want to burn. So I kind of give myself like a natural resistance to fire, flames, and stuff like that.
I like to think that you healing like your entire body being torn up, like part of your skin being shiny that I was like joking about, like that's actually your like that's like your fireproofness.
I'm applying my fireproof skin like lotion.
like yeah, you basically healed yourself so much you became fireproof.
I'm like, oh, this ain't happening again. I'll make sure of that. But yeah, I decided to enhance my adaptations of Nature's Wrath.
All right. So I think with the next session, we'll start off with another downtime, just kind of like get you guys going, or we can figure it out when we get there. So yeah, I think this is a pretty good way to end the session. I mean, I don't know. Is there anything else you guys want to do before we get to the next arc? Or?
Actually, yeah. Before we can continue the next arc, I do want to have like, I guess, a personal moment with Detective Strange.
Oh, okay. Do you want to be like right after like Strange just read the Red Rider file?
Yeah.
So you're still in your house?
Yeah, we're still in the house. Yes. Okay. So I'm taking a sip of my coffee. I said, so what did you see when you looked into that book? Because amidst the, hordes of zombies tearing at me, you were kind of still, just off in a gaze.
I just sit there quietly, really taking in what he just asked. And I just take a minute to just breathe and go, I don't want to talk about it.
I looked at my coffee and said, look, I know I may be a doctor of the body, but I don't mind listening to your problems, Arthur.
And I don't mind not telling my problems.
I kind of gave that look of like, touche. I mean, you missed quite a lot. I'll be honest. Kind of had a moment where I was about to really kind of fry the entire place, but I was scared of hitting you. And I know we had, skid, neutralized, but yeah, I kind of wished I wasn't so afraid of my powers sometimes. I probably could have, ended everything quickly.
And before I let like this emotional connection between us really start connecting, I go, oh shit, Skid, Dora. Oh, I forgot to call her and let her know dumbass boyfriend's still alive.
Do you say this out loud?
Yeah.
Okay, I said, is he all right? I mean, and the last thing I remember is I stabilized him.
Yeah, thanks for that. Kind of shot him, didn't I?
I kind of do like a quick laugh, like, yeah, you did. What kind of cop carries a grounded gun with one bullet?
Look, when you're me and you see the things you see, you kind of don't want to keep seeing them all the time.
I mean, I know you say you don't want to share it or talk about it, but was there anything that they told you or anything you saw that might help us with the Red Rider?
And to that moment, you guys hear a ting, ting, ting at the window. And then you hear another ting, 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 ting. And you guys look at the window, and you see 3 black birds looking at you. And that's where we'll end the session.
Ooh, damn, look at that. Ooh.
You guys thought I forgot about that fucking crew theme, didn't you?